And welcome to episode 30, and in this episode we're focusing on folders and referencing material. So I got this question in from a Thomas Eichmann. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. But basically Thomas at the moment is struggling with where he puts his reference material and where he actually stores it, and also additionally knowing where it belongs, where each bit of information that you get, whether it's an email containing a document, or whether it's a small note or idea on the go, where that actually goes. And at the moment Thomas is actually struggling with this. So I'm going to focus this episode 30, around that specific idea. Weirdly, I'm out of breath right now. I don't know why. There's kind of two different types of reference materials, because obviously sometimes you need the ability to store large folders, files or documents, but then you also need that on-the-go material, so that kind of like quick notes or quick sort of documentation, because you're going to get two different types. You're going to get that you're going to pick up something, you're going to pick up that email that has that long document, and you're not going to put it in the same place necessarily that you put that note about a couple of ideas that you're having on the train. And being able to separate that kind of information is quite important, because you don't want a really large document inside an area where there are small notes, and also you wouldn't want small notes inside large documents, because it's hard to open, there's not much relevance or context to it. So there's two ways of doing this, and I'm going to suggest loads of tools, but initially I'm basically going to talk about two ones I use, but ones that you can use around it if you're not keen on those two. So for the kind of documents, the kind of big files, big media forms, I use Google Drive. Now Google Drive is a fantastic place to start putting those things, and that's great. You can start dumping all the stuff there. I think it might be worth talking in another episode about the folders, Thomas, but when you've got Google Drive, you can start putting those big folders, whether it's documents, images, media files, big media files. I'm talking like 3 or 4 images, maybe a video, 2 videos, 4 videos. Also documents, big documents. I'm talking documents like longer than page, 2 pages plus, because I don't think they're not in note format, not really. They're relevant to reference. So like if you go, oh, I need that for a meeting, or I've written that report, then you can go and grab that and come back to it. The other thing is the note-taking on the go. Right, so you've got that, initially you've got that kind of media storage, which is Google Drive, and then you've got the note-taking on the go, which is kind of for your ideas, for kind of saving small things on the go, and also just writing notes. And I use Evernote for that one, and that's really good because I make sure there's a rule, like as long as I'm not writing or attaching hideous amounts of information, hideous amounts of media to that note, then that's fine. I can keep that, because when I'm scrolling through it, I need to be able to have the flexibility of, okay, that's an idea, or okay, that's just a small note, or okay, that's meeting agenda, not necessarily these big massive documents that I have to drag around, because they become timely to load, and it's important that you just have them flicky up, so therefore available. So yeah, so you Google Drive and Evernote. Definitely start using them. One for note-taking on the go, so I got something in my eye, and Google Drive for those media file storage. But when you're kind of doing this, obviously Google Drive is nice, but some people, you need to feel comfortable with your productivity systems and what tools you use. For Google Drive, there's OneNote, OneDrive, which used to be SkyDrive. There's Box, there's Dropbox, and there's, I want to say the one that .com owns, but I'm not going to, Mega. Basically places where you can store these. I'd go with OneDrive if you don't like Google Drive. If you don't like that, Dropbox is a fantastic one. So that's where the big media stuff goes. Secondly, Evernote alternatives are OneNote. They shouldn't change the names. There's Todoist actually have ability to add notes to note content, but I wouldn't use that for a specific dictation to a note. Thinking Extra, there is also, I think to be honest, I think OneNote's pretty good. I think Evernote's probably the place to be. If you're struggling with that, don't use iOS Notes, because if you're going from Android to iOS, it's not going to happen. But yeah, Evernote or OneNote is a really fantastic one to start. There's Awesome Note on iOS. There's Simply Note as well. All good ones, but the real cross-platform ones you're looking for. So Evernote or OneNote, and OneDrive or Google Drive as those top options for media and both note-taking. Hope this one was useful, and thanks for sending your question in, Thomas. Please do send any questions through Twitter or Google+. And I'll be happy to answer them. Happy to do an episode focusing in on them specifically. Thanks very much, guys, and have a great week.